Are we live? Can we tell if we're live? It does appear that we are live. Yes, it does. Okay, so hello. I'm going to do some sharing here before we get started on the Twitter account, on the Facebook account, wherever else it is that we can share. And then this is your program, Afternoon Ask Anything. I'm Dejan Kovacevic. He's Alex Stumpf, our baseball writer. And over there, all the way on the edge, is Dale Lolley, our football writer, which I guess means I'll have to take the hockey stuff.
I hope so.
You sounded pretty good on WPXI the other night handling the hockey stuff that we sent your way. Albie throws it over to Dale. He's like, Dale, what are your thoughts on the Jeff Carter trade? And Dale's thinking something football.
It was first before any you guys, like I couldn't even parrot what you guys said.
It was great.
I had to come out with, I'm doing, when he said that, I'm doing a quick Google on my phone to call up his stats with the Penguins.
I almost burst out into laughing when he sent it to you first.
Way too early to figure out what's, I get it. We're supposed to have immediate reactions, but
you did it too. You were like, yeah, Jeff Carter. I mean, he skates.
He's big. I know he's big.
He's big. Played for LA.
He's a presence.
All right, I'm doing one more share here. And we are properly shared on Facebook and Twitter and everywhere. If you're on Twitter, by the way, if you're seeing this on Twitter, a reminder that you can't just reply to do the comments. You have to hit that little Periscope icon that's on the actual video, bottom right corner of the video. That's where you can send in your comments. Same thing applies to Facebook, YouTube. Actually, Facebook and YouTube, you can just put it right there in comments, and it'll and whatever you've got will show up right there on our screen.
By the way, I just wanted to make note, Dejan, that both you and I had our hair was not white when we started this venture. So Alex is still new here. Within another year or two, Alex is going to have as much gray hair as we do.
We'll make sure of that, actually.
Yeah, it's going to be plenty with all this stuff. So.
We'll make sure of that. All right. Let's get it formally started here. Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Afternoon Ask Anything. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports, joined by baseball writer Alex Stumpf and football writer Dale Lolley. And here's how this works. You send your questions. We attempt answers. We might not always have them. Alex and Dale, are you guys both outside? Dale, I can tell you're outside.
I have an enclosed porch in the back of my house, so I'm sitting on the enclosed porch. So,
and Alex is in the Alex cave.
Semi enjoying the day.
Let's see what we got here. Let's start with John Diddig, who asks, if Dale was the GM, who would be his first pick in the draft? You are on the clock, Lolley.
First pick overall, or the Steelers' first pick? There's a difference there.
Oh, well, okay. Let's get really gutsy and say you'd go with Trevor Lawrence for the first pick.
Yeah,
overall.
I mean that's a slam dunk. That's been the pick for 3 years now since Trevor Lawrence showed up on the campus at Clemson. If I have the Steelers' first pick again, picking at 24, who's available? That's the biggest question. You get asked that a lot. Like, okay, who do you pick? Well, tell me who's available because Justin Fields falls. I know there have been some mock drafts, and I don't expect that to happen. But if Justin Fields falls to you, you take him. I mean, that's a gift horse. You can't, you have to take it. Much the same way Green Bay took, Aaron Rodgers when they had Brett Favre and let him sit for 2 years. You can't pass up on the great quarterback prospect. But to me, I think the question is more, the running back or offensive tackle. I think that they're going to be 4 offensive tackles taken before the Steelers pick. The last one, I think that's probably what you're looking at there. So to me, I think I'm taking Najee Harris all day long.
Yeah, that's I'm beginning to get like the cement is starting to settle. It's starting to dry up around about that thing here. Ron Harriot asks, how about the hustle by the Rays on a major league pop-up? Love the hustle on that team. Nothing worse than a player standing at home watching a ball. Alex, do you have any idea what he's talking about?
I missed this.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Maybe Ron is in
I'll tell you what, I umpired a game. I actually umpired a baseball game the other night where a kid fouled a ball off, or he thought he fouled it off, and the ball went fair. Nothing worse than if you're a coach and the guys just kind of stand up and tag you. Like, that's the worst.
Yeah, no. Didn't that happen to Adam Frazier last week at one point? I think he doubled down the left field line and had no idea the ball was fair.
Hit the ball, run. Run, kid, run. We'll tell you if it's fair or foul.
This is from...
That was yesterday. I was subjecting myself to Godzilla versus Kong instead of watching.
Death or Glory 80 asks, what would each of you pick as your walk-up song if you were in Major League Baseball? I'll start with Death or Glory by The Clash. Is that where you were headed with this anyway? Absolutely Death or Glory from the brilliant London Calling LP.
I'm going with Super Bon Bon by I'm trying to remember the name of the group now. It just escaped me. But the main theme of the song is move aside and let the man go through. So I'm coming up to the plate. Everybody move aside and let the man go through.
Probably be a jerkin like Rick Roll, everyone. Or something. I like the entrance music for relievers more any day with like Bednar coming into Renegade.
Bednar coming into Renegade, considering they've only had 7,000 fans over there, has been really neat. And Derek Shelton is correct that if and when that happens someday, and he's closing and the place is packed and the games mean something, you know what? I'm okay with that. The Steelers didn't trademark it. It's all still in Pittsburgh,
Yay.
Vetaman asks, hi from the coast of Maine. Enjoy your coverage. Any word on Malkin or Cap? Evgeny Malkin and Kasperi Kapanen both skated with the team this morning. And I had been hoping Kapanen would do that, and I'd kind of been hoping that Malkin would do that. Neither of them went all the way in. Neither of them was full board. Neither of them is any kind of threat to play. You would think, I shouldn't say this week because they play the Devils 3 times beginning tonight at PPG Paints Arena. But look, they're on the ice, and they both had lower body injuries. So they didn't get out there for nothing. Randy Steele asks, which projected first-round candidate this year is most likely to fall the furthest?
I've got a couple guys there that you look at. Christian Barmore to me is one of the kind of the wild cards in this draft because he's the top, by most accounts, the top rated defensive tackle. But I don't think he's a first round guy. So there it is. Yeah, that's the one. Soul coughing. But Barmore, to me, is not a first-round draft pick, but I could see a team in need of a defensive tackle that takes him higher than he should go. And then, I think after that, you start looking at I know Jason Owa tested really well, but he had no sacks last year. He didn't accidentally fall into a quarterback once last year at Penn State.
That's mean.
I mean, as much as people complained about Bud Dupree and early in his career,
he fell into the
quarterback. So, you play a full season at the college level and you don't just happen to run into the quarterback by accident. That to me, so he could go high. His testing was off the charts. So I could see somebody taking him in the teens, or I could see him falling into the 40s. Same thing with Caleb Farley with his medical stuff. Before this whole process started, he was right there with Patrick Surtain as the top cornerback. If you watched him on the field, he can play. He's right there with Surtain, but that back issue is something that could cause him to fall.
Sherrod asks, since there was no minor league season last year, and by the way, there hasn't been one yet this year, do you feel that Ben Cherington, Alex, will take a more conservative approach in 2021 and slow the promotion of prospects to the next level? Man, I wonder if they even have thought of this.
Well, yeah, this is something I actually, brought up right before spring training got started to him. Asked, is it going to be an opportunity for a guy, who you just haven't seen in person for a year, who just blows you away and be like, you know what, we thought this guy was going to go to Greensboro. Let's send him to Altuve. Let's push him. I think that's going to be a possibility shortly into the season, but from what I've basically heard, they would rather have the guy play in Greensboro for a little bit, show that, okay, I really can go to Altoona, and then send him to Altoona, then rather send him to Altoona and, okay, he's not ready, send him back down to Greensboro. I think development-wise, with just some of these guys, we're going to see a lot of people play multiple levels just for that reason this year. I don't think it's going to be as slow as it was under Huntington, though, but I don't think it's going to be significantly faster.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that we get caught up in narratives in all sports, and one of the ones that's attached to the Pirates, and it's understandable, is that Huntington and Stark were really slow because they had a uniform checklist to promote guys. And Dale, I know you know as a baseball coach what I'm talking about. There's certain things that you're looking at, what is his pickoff move? And if he doesn't have a pickoff move, he's not going from low A to high A and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And Alex and I were in the room when Ben Cherington was introduced over at PNC Park, and the very first emphasis that he had of any kind was related to individualized player development. Remember that, Alex? It was just he just kept hammering that point. Every player's development is on a unique path. Yes, we all want them to get to a certain spot, but we're not going to hold them up or accelerate them based on some sort of general thought. One more before we take a break here. Mr. Eric asks, was the Tomlin extension a surprise to you, Dale?
No, not at all. I thought that would get done at some point this offseason. The timing of it was a little surprising, but they're sitting around the office right now getting their draft prep in. Right. Mike Tomlin and
got a pen, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, they see each other. They talk every day. It wasn't a situation where there was probably much negotiating to be done. The only thing that you look at and you say, well, the previous contract was a 1-year deal with an option year. Now they've signed him to a 3-year deal. People may look at that and say, oh, well, why was that? Tomlin's kids are now pretty much – this takes him through the end of when his boys are going to be done with college. I think the option year, when they had the option year before, I think he was looking at this going, okay, I might – I don't know what my boys are going to do. Are they going to go play in college, all that kind of stuff? I may want to go see them. I think he's figured out a way to manage that so that he can be at some of their games and also be the head football coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
And so I think Maryland really heavily too.
Well, yeah, I mean that helps. You're getting to see a lot of Big Ten teams, but I think he's much more comfortable with it. He's not even 50 yet, so why not?
I guess Dale. Yeah. I just look. Nobody has to tell you that this is such a demanding job. I mean, NFL head coach. I don't even know how you could rank that in not sports work, but just work. There's a reason that you talked about me and you aging. Look at Bill Cowher, the before and the after when he, and Bill Cowher, he did burn out and he acknowledged it. Now he still made it for quite a while there, but you don't look around the NFL and see a ton of guys that just hang on forever and ever. Now, that said, I could see Tomlin and John Harbaugh and the total,
there's certain guys there. I mean, you mentioned two of them there, Harbaugh and Tomlin, but certainly Andy Reid fits into that category. So does Bill Belichick. These guys are football coaches. That's what they do. They don't want to do anything else. Mike Tomlin, if he could spend the entire year with his football team living at St. Vincent College, he would do it. They would just do nothing but football 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Takes a special person to be able to do that.
When we come back, we'll take more of your questions right after this.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
Welcome back to Afternoon Ask Anything. I'm Dejan Kovacevic, joined by Alex Stumpf and Dale Lolley.
Usually I find commercials in the middle of a show like that annoying, but that one was pretty good.
It's a nice ad, isn't it? Yeah, those guys are really, really, really good. Okay, and let's see what else we got here. C-Mac chimes in that the Rooneys are loyal to those who are loyal to them. That's why MT was extended. Well, no, I'm kind of thinking that it has something more to do with the fact that he's a really, really good football coach. I hear a Pittsburgh accent when DK or Dale say stuff like going or tackle. Is Alex a Clevelander?
I'm not going to dignify that comment.
Let's see.
South Hills, born and raised.
Ron Harriott says the best story of the week was that Sean Kazmir got called up by the Braves after 11 years of AAA ball. Ron's just going to keep throwing stuff at us today that's arcane from around baseball, but this one I'm actually familiar with.
Yeah, I got this. I heard about this one, Ron. And like you said, this is great. And you know what? Credit to Sean Kazmir because they don't let people play minor league baseball for 11 years if they aren't A, talented, and B, a good teammate. So it's a case of a good dude actually getting rewarded for his perseverance.
What did he? I know he came up and hit into a double play. He's still with the team?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
that's the bench, but yeah.
I mean, if you wait 11 years to come up, you don't want to have a 6.43 on the line score. You'd rather stroke one somewhere.
Is his walk-up music, Kazmir?
Stop that. Steve Smith says, we know DK's favorite pirate is Rennie Stennett. What would your favorite pirate be from your younger days, Dale and Alex?
Boy, that's
Jack Wilson. Jack Wilson was absolutely the best part of watching Pirates baseball in those horrible aughts years. And also Oliver Perez in that glorious summer of 2004 was must-watch TV.
The guy that everybody emulated when I was a kid, when you were in the backyard playing baseball, was Willie Stargell. We all did the bat spin, that you had to. You just had to. Plus, I was a lefty, so it just made
Oh, it was nice and easy.
Yeah.
Little drop off there from Willie Stargell to Oliver Perez, I guess.
Well, or Jack. ZD says once Brian Hayes comes back, should it be Phillip Evans in left, Brian Reynolds in center, and if so, what to do with Fowler and Alford? Well, there's a rocket ship outside. You can jettison them both into the sun. That's what I would do with the current center field group. But go ahead, Alex.
As like a base, like just generic lineup, yes, I think that'd be good. Shelton has talked about, Phillip Evans and maybe being like Ben Zobrist type that he's continuously bouncing around the diamond where, he could play first base one day, second base another day, third another. I think they would rather go with that. But yeah, he is going to need a place to play every day. And I feel like that's the path of least resistance right there. Neither Alfred or Fowler have really done anything to, take a hold of this job. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if we see one of them, get DFA'd soon, or, oh man, there's a hamstring injury right here, that 10-day IL, nothing we can do there.
That Hammett bone's acting up a little bit. That's what makes guys like Evans so valuable, though. It's like the Josh Harrison thing. You can find places to put those guys in your lineup. It doesn't have to be in the same spot day after day after day, because you want to keep everybody involved. You can't sit a guy for 7 or 8 days at a time and then throw him out there on a Sunday and say, okay, go have at it. You want to try to get guys at bats here and there, and Evans' versatility gives you the opportunity to do that.
Greg says, who are the two Penguins players who will sit when Geno and Kapanen come back? Right now, the question is a little more layered than that because they're not the only ones that are out. I mean, when I look at the playoff lineup that the Penguins are put together for Game 1, presuming the biggest variable in this, by the way, is Brandon Tanev. He's the one guy that Ron Hextall said that he might not be ready for the playoffs. So whatever it is that's wrong with him, and bear in mind we never know these things, that's the iffiest one of all. So who are you bumping? To me, it's more a matter of who you're including. Geno and Kapanen are going to be on the same line 2. I would have Jared McCann as the left winger on that line. So your third line is now Jeff Carter, Jason Zucker, and question mark. And you've got a whole lot of guys that can compete for question mark there. Remember that Freddie Gaudreau is still out. They love Freddie. If Freddie's healthy, he's got to be that question mark guy, or does he? Because now you also have Evan Rodriguez sitting there, and Evan Rodriguez is a better penalty killer. So there's a lot of different variables in there. The one player for sure that you could say would come out would be Radim Zohorna. He's shown obviously terrific offensive flashes, but that's not what this is about.
Can any of those guys play center field for the Pirates?
I don't know. Can any of them play center for the Steelers? So let's go to C-Mac, who says the Steelers need to draft a lineman first, center or tackle. With the line, you can't run or with this line, you can't run or pass.
You're allowed to draft centers and tackles in the second and third rounds who play for you.
No, you're not.
Marcus Gilbert was an immediate starter. I could go on down a list of guys who
was a second rounder.
Was a second rounder. Marvell Smith was a second round draft pick. You can get guys, especially in this draft, who are second rounders. You do not. First of all, you're not taking a center in the first round. None of the centers grade out as first round guys. If you do that, it's a bit of a reach.
Not one, Dale. Not one.
I mean, I could see because look, every draft, and I kind of touched on this today in my talking point. Every draft has 12 to 18 guys that any team would draft at any point in that first round, no matter where your pick is at. So those guys are all, those guys are set. And I think this year it's probably 15 to 18 guys, maybe a little on the higher end. Then those next 50 guys, you throw a blanket over them because they all have a similar grade. So when I say there's no center who has a first round grade on it, that's going to depend on the team and needs. But you can certainly there are probably 6 to 8 centers in this year's draft who are either first-year starters or starters by year 2. There are 15 offensive tackles who are first round who are legit competitors for starting time as a rookie, definitely starters by year 2. There are 3 running backs that I know will be everyday starters. If you don't get one of those guys in the first or second round, you're not getting one. Then you're throwing another mid-round draft pick at the wall and hoping he becomes something. And that's just not good business when you don't have a starting running back.
Craig Cochran asks about the favorite/best Pittsburgh sports uniform ever. Any sport, college, pro, or fictional. So we're like getting into the Pisces and the what was the name of the Gotham something? Were they the Gotham Giants that Heinz Ward was playing for?
No, I actually have a shirt upstairs that has that on it. They were the Gotham Knights. They were the Knights.
Gotham Knights. That's right. Heinz really, not only did he beat that coverage for that touchdown, but he beat multiple explosions in the right corner of the end zone.
That's the fastest he's ever run.
This, to me, is the definitive argument that he deserves to be in the Hall ahead of Julian Edelman, by the way. The fact that he can get down there and just there's bombs going off and Bain's really trying to do him in. Anyway, favorite uni ever, Pittsburgh sports. Go ahead, Alex.
I really don't pay attention to them, to be honest.
I remember the bad ones. I remember the red unis for the Pirates and the turn ahead the clock night.
Oh, wait. You mean this one over here?
Yes, that one right there.
Okay.
That is a work of art.
I mean,
that game was set in the year 2021.
To me, I'm really big on the whole something that's iconic. There's nothing that makes me cringe more than when we're watching a hockey game, or it's just on in the background or whatever, and my wife Dolly will say something like, "Look at the Blackhawks uniforms; they're so bad." And I'm like, "You don't understand. They're the Blackhawks uniforms. There's no such thing as bad. It's like calling Montreal's uniforms bad."
The one uniform that I always did like, and it's a hockey one, believe it or not, was the St. Louis Blues. I always liked that
it's
color.
It's really, really slick. The logo is too. Mine would be probably a tie between the Steelers' iconic block numbers from the 70s, and yes, it's tied to what they represent. You're not naive about that. Steelers block numbers, and then the Pirates. I want so badly to say the sleeveless because you just knew that the Pirates, who they were, even in the ancient footage, by the sleeveless alone. But then I remember Jack Wilson and Freddie Sanchez complaining so bitterly when they brought them back as if something happened to their armpits or something like that, and they couldn't stand these things, and eventually talked management out of having them. True story. But I'll take the Pirates, like for lack of a better descriptive term, the Steve Blass / Roberto Clemente. This is the 1971 when they had kind of like the mustard gold. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Those are just, I just look at those and I think Pittsburgh Pirates, the Penguins, they've had a few too many episodes for me with their uniforms. I like the fact that they've stabilized lately. You know what their base uniform is. You know what their base logo is. But, Chris Dolnak jumps in and says, yes, the sleeveless Pirates unis. That's because you don't have to wear them.
Anyone come to defense of the Red Ones?
No, that would be none. Steve says the White Sox from the 80s with the shorts. Oh, yeah. There you go. Ron Harriott asks if the Pirates have adjusted Colin Moran's swing.
Last year, while doing batting practice in the offseason, this is leading up to 2020, he got rid of the leg kick, added a toe tap, and really what we're seeing this year is just a continuation of what he did last year. I mean, he had a dip in results because he had the mini.
You mean productivity, Alex? You mean his product? Yeah, I was going to say he looks now. People are acting all surprised about him now. He was doing this last year too, just nobody was watching.
Yep. Up until the point where he got the concussion, missed a little time, and he wasn't able to get 100% back into the swing of things afterwards. Like, this is more or less what he did for the first month or so of last year. And you know what? He looks like a much more complete hitter. And credit to Derek Shelton for actually letting him face lefties. I'm sure that's definitely helping with the timing playing every day.
But what's the key though to the toe tap versus the leg kick? Does that just mean he's setting up quicker?
Basically, like he's able to. It's tough to explain without visual aids right here. But with the leg kick, it was kind of big, and you don't know exactly where you're going to land. It can lead to a lot of ugly swings.
With the leg kick, it does throw your timing off. Yeah, one of the things that I see when I'm coaching a kid that has a big leg kick like that, you've got to time that leg kick up so that your foot is landing as your swing is coming forward. And so if they throw you a breaking ball or anything off speed and that leg comes down, and now all of a sudden, as Alex said, you're getting a bad look at it, because you're thinking you thought fastball, and all of a sudden it's something off speed, and now your hands have already started. It just looks bad. I mean, you got to be a really outstanding hitter to have that big high leg kick. Shortening that up, I think you see the results of it with Moran.
It's funny. I remember when Xavier Nady, who had the most exaggerated, pronounced high leg kick I think we've seen in modern baseball, and Jeff Manto was the hitting coach at the time, and he tried to talk to X about it. And he was like,
hitting coach is nuts. I mean,
and eventually, like, Jeff Manto just gave up and just said, X, just do what you got to do. And they figured out ways to work with other parts of his swing and his follow through to make sure that X was still getting the timing that he needed. And Jeff Manto made X a very, very wealthy man, for which Jeff Manto often reminds him of this sort of thing. Ed Vidra asks if there will be any surprises in the Penguins game tonight. When is Geno returning? Well, it sure won't be tonight. But again, when you see them on the ice, this is a good thing. This is progress. You're not going to see any lineup surprises or anything to that effect tonight. I'm sure they're going to go back to Tristan Jarry. What they need to do is they just need to get back to taking care of business. You know what's funny, guys? I look at these standings in the East Division to both of you, and I'm like, I don't even see the objective. I mean, it's nice to have home ice. The Penguins are 16-3-1 at PPG Paints Arena. Most of that without fans, but there is still a comfort level when it comes to playing at home. And I remember really vividly rolling my eyes the first time I heard that come from Ben Roethlisberger's mouth. Remember that, Dale, at Heinz Field when he said, this is our home. We still want to protect it. And I remember thinking, boy, that sounds really weird because you're playing in front of 68,000 empty yellow seats,
But it's still your stadium. It's still, your city. That team's going to come into you don't want them to be comfortable coming into your city, your stadium, and winning, because next year there will be fans. And so they can come back and say, well, we won here last year. It's no big deal. So, yeah, you want to make it as tough as possible.
Our man Gary Morgan asks if the Cubs will pull the plug and burn it down. Do that, Cubs. Do that. They have pieces. You want to talk about a quality sell-off that would be afoot. Imagine what you can get for Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo and Javi Baez. And I'm not even scratching the surface on all the guys they have.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the pitchers, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They absolutely should just burn it down because that farm system is arguably the worst at baseball.
Is it? I didn't know that.
See, that's the beautiful thing about the Pirates, and all these kids coming up 2023, 2024. With the exception of the Reds, no one in this division looks particularly intimidating. Like there is, you always have to credit,
St. Louis will find a way.
Yeah, they're going to find some jabroni and make him into a 4-war player because that's just what they do in that lab. But the Cubs do not look intimidating. The Brewers farm system is challenging the Cubs for among the worst in baseball. Mm-hmm. So if the Cubs aren't going to, really spend it all and try, to get one more ring out of this core players, they absolutely should tear it down.
Well, I'll say this, one thing to think about, and I know Ben Cherington hates the idea of the window and all that other stuff, okay? But if I'm looking around the rest of the Central Division and nobody's got any prospects, and I do, you know what I'm saying here? If you put yourself in a situation where you know that in 2 years you're going to have the best system, the best everything, and they're working their way up, while the rest of the division is going to stink, except, like Dale said, St. Louis, because they never do. That could be something that factors into some of the Pirates' decisions as well here. Jeremy Densmore asks, how do we like the Greensboro Grasshopper uniforms? I've never seen them.
Did they reveal new ones?
I don't know. I don't know. Dale, what are your thoughts on the Greensboro Grasshoppers uniform?
I have none. I've never seen a Greensboro Grasshopper, and I hope I never do. But
Quinn Priester's pitching there this year, probably.
Yeah, that's going to be the place. The Greensboro Grasshoppers, in all seriousness, are going to be where the Pirates stack almost all of their pitching prospects to start the year, which will be
Peguero and probably Gonzalez.
Yeah, and that, for anybody who doesn't know, is the Pirates' top shortstop prospect and the Pirates' top second base prospect in order. So your Greensboros are going to be – what's that?
It's the middle infield of the future.
Yeah.
I'll wait until they get to Pittsburgh before I actually see them play. I'll wait and see them in Pirates uniforms. No offense to the Greensboro Grasshoppers.
Yeah, no. Let's see. Steve Smith says, no, unfortunately it is, especially the Cubs, the Phillies, the Mets, and the Cardinals. I'm not sure what he's referring to.
To the Cubs sell-off?
Oh, the Cubs sell-off. Yeah, I guess. Ed says home ice is important to the Penguins and the Steelers. Not sure for the Pirates. Actually,
I don't know. Talk to Johnny Cueto about that.
The Pirates have been much better at home already this year than they were on the road. Again, small samples, and there were those 3 disastrous games in Cincinnati. And that, to me, is like, that Cincinnati series is still the one. And, Alex, you covered it for us, is such an outlier from everything else that we've seen that I'm thinking more and more about,
It's convinced me that the Reds are going to win this division. Yeah. That's what
it's. I mean, if you look at the Pirates' run differential right now, it's all because of that series.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, it really is. Chris Weber asks about ads on NHL sweaters. Are they good business sense or short-term fool's gold ruining tradition? This can apply to all sports, obviously. I mean, the NHL has really kind of sold its soul because the NHL, more than any other sport that we'd be discussing, is reliant on revenues that aren't television. So I kind of get that. But really, guys, are we that far away from, seeing ads on NFL or Major League Baseball uniforms?
Probably not. I mean, but I don't think the NFL necessarily needs it as much as the other leagues. I mean, they just signed a big gambling deals, and you see all these television deals. I think they did a deal with Hulu today that came out. The show, the NFL Network and Red Zone. So, I mean, honestly, owning an NFL team is like a license to print your own money. You just crank.
Except in one market, the Jacksonvilles will always find a way to lose.
Well, I mean, that's because they're located in Flabama, which it's no man's land. It's a college town, but even at that, they're not losing money in Jacksonville.
No.
I just don't see that happening. I could see it happening in other sports. I mean, it's NASCAR already does it, and NASCAR's essentially as successful a venture as some of the other sports. So why not?
Yeah, you can say the same thing for European soccer. I mean, it's not like those teams or those leagues need more money, although they kind of threw some water onto that concept over the last 3 or 4 days. But I noticed that from the games in Milwaukee that the Pirates just played, that on the back of the mound, they had the Brewers stencil on the mound. Whereas if you'll recall, in 2020, a lot of teams, the Pirates included, were using that space, that stencil, to give to a primary sponsor, like whether it was AHN or PNC or whatever. So I wonder if there isn't some kind of pullback there, like we did it in 2020, but we're not doing it again.
I mean, you saw that with the Steelers, with the banners in the lower section, in the lower part of the bowl.
Yeah.
Those they didn't want to pay money back to those advertisers.
Right.
So you had to give them something for their buck. So putting that logo behind pitcher's mound, gives those advertisers exposure. But if you have fans in your stadium, then you don't need to do that. Is it something that they could sell in the future? Sure. You see that at a lot of different broadcasts where they have the rotating right behind home plate, the rotating ads and things of that nature. But we'll see if this continues. Typically, teams don't, when they find a stream of revenue, they don't give them up.
Exactly. And as for uniforms, Major League Baseball just lost this battle by letting the Nike swoosh get put onto all of them, and it looks horrible for the Yankees ones. And just to rile Dejan up a little bit as we're nearing the end, I imagine, that stencil that they put right there, it's definitely for every team. It is the Pirates charity sign for every one of the 30 pitching mounds in the league.
Yeesh. We're going to take 2 more today. This one's for Dale. How much of the Matt Canada offense will we see with Ben still behind center?
Well, it's all going to be the Matt Canada offense.
You would think so.
Who else's offense is it going to be?
Mm-hmm.
Is there going to be some pre-snap motion and things of that nature? Yes, there was last year until teams caught on to it because they had 14 practices before the season started to work on that stuff. So they incorporated, bits and pieces of it that we saw early in the season. But when teams caught on to the end arounds and the jet sweeps and that thing, those kind of things, then you had to kind of scale it back a little bit because when they get into the regular season, they're not working on, hey, let's add some wrinkles to the offense. They're working specifically on getting ready for the next opponent. And so you can't add a lot of stuff to your offense in that respect. You can add things off of what you do, but you're not implementing new schemes and things of that nature in the middle of a season.
No, that's really it more than anything else here. The last one today will go to Alex from Maxwell Peckich, who asks, who do you think is the top center field prospect for the Pirates? And if I can jump in and say that I really hope that it's not Travis Swaggerty.
No, it isn't.
Okay, good. All right. No offense, Travis. Hope you make it and everything else here. Also, we're banning any form of responses that point to Jared Oliva.
Oh, come on. I
like. You like him?
I like
I've never seen him do anything with my own eyes. Never.
He's not going to be an all-star, but he runs the base as well. He covers the position. He'll get on base enough.
Well, Alex hated the Defoe signing, and I was all on board with the Defoe signing. It's Defoe. Everybody loves Defoe. I Defoe. You Defoe. We all
Are
Defoe.
we not men? We are Defoe.
Maxwell, to answer your question, it's Hudson Head, the main prospect that they got back in the Joe Hudson trade. He's definitely raw. There's a lot to work on with those mechanics. But this was a guy who was going to be a first-round draft pick that fell to the third only because of signability issues. Amazing raw potential. That is the guy who has the potential to potentially be an all-star one day for the Pirates. It's going to be a long path to get there, though.
Bonus end of show question. Craig Cochran asks, who will be the first one to hit the ball into the Allegheny first, Moran, Reynolds, or the field? I'll tell you this, Reynolds' bomb the other night in Milwaukee would have made it to Stanwyck Street. Never mind the Allegheny River. Oh, my goodness, did he murder that ball?
He did, but I'm going to go with the field here.
My money's on
When are the
Polanco.
Nationals coming to town?
Blanco is
Just
actually
helping
probably the
first
right
game.
answer.
Yeah, my money's with. I mean, as much as Gregory has struggled, when
He hits it.
when he hits the ball, it goes. And he's been a little better here after a slow start. A little better.
Thanks to everybody for participating today. We'll do another afternoon Ask Anything with all you guys tomorrow. Thanks.